All right, we're gonna start the incision on posterior end. Again, we're gonna pull this up and make a little cross incision. And then we're gonna hook through the blunt side, and we're gonna do a mid-sagittal all the way up the abdominal cavity, lifting up as we go so we don't damage any of the tissue underneath. So there we go, up to the chest. Now when you get to the chest, it's gonna be a little bit more tissue to go through because you have the ribs to take into consideration. So I might have to go get the bone shears to crack the ribs because this thing is not getting it. So I'm going to do my lateral cut down here all the way across, another lateral cut here all the way across. See if I can get Okay. So what you're seeing right on this very edge is the diaphragm. So I want to go right below the diaphragm, and I'm going to do a lateral cut across the body from the diaphragm all the way down to the side through some of the ribs. I gotta, there we go. And then find the diaphragm. Again, the diaphragm here separates the abdominal cavities from the thoracic cavities. So go right below the diaphragm, through the ribs, do a lateral cut all the way down. And then what we do is, now we have space to fold the abdominal muscle laterally so we can see more of the features. There we go, let's break it that way. All right, so this gives you initial exposure of the abdominal cavity. Here, these structures right here is the liver, and there's actually 5 liver lobes to the cat. Okay, this is the cat's left, right? So this is going to be the left lateral liver lobe. This is the left medial, right lateral down here, and then the caudate lobe is underneath right there. Okay, and then we know this is the right medial liver lobe because of this structure right here, which is the gallbladder. Okay, the gallbladder is kind of encapsulated by the liver. The liver actually makes the bile, the gallbladder stores the bile, and then it goes from here in a passageway called the bile duct all the way to the intestines where it breaks up the fat. Okay, if I lift this up, you can see this is the stomach, okay? And attached to the stomach is the greater omentum. And the omentum is this packing peanuts for the abdominal cavity. And it looks like this is the intestines, but it's not. So it's a blanket, and as we separate it, you can see the intestines underneath. So again, this is contains fat and loose connective tissue, and it acts as insulation and protection in the abdominal cavity, and it's adhered to the bottom of the stomach. Okay, so here is the spleen. We have the pancreas right in here. Okay, the pancreas is kind of like packed underneath the spleen, kind of partly in the first turn of the small intestine. And then this is all small intestine in here. And then this bigger tube is the large intestine, the descending colon that goes all the way down to the rectum. Okay, here we have the bladder, and then these on the side of the bladder is these fat nodules, which contains the prostate glands. Okay, so this is a boy, and so there's no uterus here. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is kind of disconnect this omentum and set it aside, so it breaks free fairly easy. So we're going to just tear it away and kind of set it to the side. Okay, set that to the side. And then what we want to do is we can get a better, clearer view of the pancreas now. So all this kind of cream colored, this segmented stuff is all the pancreas, which produces insulin, produces digestive enzymes, produces bicarbonate to help neutralize the fatty chyme as it comes from the stomach. Okay, so here's the stomach again, and then we're going to remove the stomach once we see some of the other features. Okay, this right here is the left kidney, and it has this capsule that surrounds it, loose connective tissue and fat that anchors it to the dorsal wall. Over here is the right kidney. Again, it's covered with this connective tissue that encapsulates it along with fat to connect it to the dorsal wall. Now, if we want to see the connection between the kidneys and the bladder, we're going to find the ureter. Okay, the ureter is against the dorsal wall, and as we pull away this connective tissue, we can find this tube. It's a white tube that connects the two, and looking for it, I think it's right there. I'm not seeing it right now on this side. Let me break through this connective tissue. Okay, so I finally separated this tube right here from the connective tissue. You can see it's a fairly big tube. This is called the ureter. The ureter connects the kidneys and all the way to the bladder. So the kidneys filter out the body's fluids, they separate all the important nutrients and the salts, and then that filtrate travels down this ureter and then collects in the bladder. So this is the left kidney, the left ureter, and then on this side, we have the right kidney and the right ureter. So I was able, one of them was kind of hidden on me, okay? So we'll be taking these out here shortly. So I've got the camera off the tripod, and so I wanted to show you some of the things in a little bit more detail. So this is the spleen again, and it kind of looks like a big tongue. And then I wanted to show you the detail of the pancreas, and it's not very exciting, but this is all the pancreas right here. It's kind of has a segmented appearance, kind of off-white, and I don't know if this light is actually helping or making it worse. Okay, so if we look inside the interior, we can see the diaphragm. Okay, this is the muscular wall. It creates a boundary between the thoracic and the abdominal cavities, but it's used in breathing. So it creates a negative pressure in the chest. When you take a deep breath, it stretches down, and then when you exhale, it pushes up and forces the air out of your thoracic cavity and lungs. So it's there to create pressure, okay? This is also what vibrates when you get the hiccups or when you get the wind knocked out of you. It's this muscular wall that's the culprit, okay? Here's a close-up of the gallbladder. You can see it has kind of a green appearance, and that's from the bile. Again, this is the right medial liver lobe, left medial, left lateral, right lateral down here, and then the caudate lobe is this little one right underneath right there. You guys see it looks like a little tiny kitty tongue. Okay, so now you can see the intestines. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out the stomach, and then I'm going to do a butterfly cut, and we're going to look at the contents of the stomach. And it's pretty flaccid, so there's not much in here. Oftentimes we get it's totally inflated and the cat had a big old meal as its last meal. But so give me a second. I'm going to pull this out and remove it, and then we can check out what's inside. Okay, so to remove the stomach, I have to disconnect it in two places. The first place is the duodenum, which is right here. You can see this is the pylorus of the stomach. This is the duodenum. So I'm going to give like a centimeter and cut it. Okay, we can get a good view of the pancreas right here. And then I'm going to trace the stomach up into the diaphragm, and I have to perforate the diaphragm and find where the esophagus empties into the stomach. So I kind of, I'm going to use the scalpel, just kind of make it a little bit easier. So find the edge of the stomach. I'm going to make these incisions into the diaphragm wall. And break the connective tissue that's kind of binding it until I can see the esophagus has this kind of white tube appearance to it. And now I can kind of see right here. And then I want to make a little, pull it down and then snip the top of the esophagus. Okay, there it is coming into the stomach. It's about as high up as I'm going to be able to get it. Okay, and then I just have to disconnect it from the omentum and the other tissues, connective tissues. And then there it is. Okay, so this is the esophageal end right here, and then this is the duodenum and the pylorus, where it comes out into the intestine. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video here real quick, and we'll do a close-up of the stomach. So actually, while the camera's going, I'm just going to do what's called a butterfly cut. So I'm gonna go all around the perimeter. You can see this is called the fundus, the upper part of the stomach. This is the body of the stomach. And then as it comes down here, we have the pylorus, which is like a antechamber. And this is where the food collects before this pyloric sphincter opens up, and then the food exits out the stomach or into the small intestine, okay? So I'll insert the scissors into the duodenum, or the esophagus. And then go all the way around the perimeter. So I'm going to keep it attached. This is called the greater curvature, and then the inside is the lesser curvature. So I'm going to cut it all the way through the greater curvature until it comes out of the beginning of the duodenum. So, not terribly exciting. What we're looking at primarily is just kibble. Sometimes you'll see insects in here, sometimes you'll see hair, sometimes you'll see worms. Mine is a little bit boring. So let me wash this out, and then I can go over the parts of it with you.